previous clip, students learned the meanings of denotation and connotation through modeled and shared experiences. They now practice applying these concepts individually to words after first completing another shared activity in which the denotative and connotative meanings of dandelion are explored. The teacher uses the online tool Wallwisher to facilitate the discussion. The denotative meanings of the chosen concept are recorded on one side of the screen and the connotative meanings in a separate box. Students then reflect on the connections between explicit and implied meanings of words, and the classroom focus on using inferences in reading.
Everybody should have, at this point, they should have their own sheet for connotative and denotative meaning. So you'll see the definition is here. It says actual meaning denotative and suggested or implied meaning connotative. And below it says images, ideas, and associations. This is exactly the same as the one that we just did, but we're going to do one more together just to make sure that you get the idea. So you're going to make sure that whatever your item is glued right in the middle. So I'm going to go back onto Wallwisher, and I created a wall for this just to give you another chance to use this so that you would be okay using it on your own. Alrighty? So we've got our original here that we did together. And I want us to kind of put our heads together and do the same thing, but we'll do it on Wallwisher. So we'll have that activity on Wallwisher. Okay? Any ideas for a dandelion? What is a dandelion? I mean, what is it actually? Venus.
I think it's kind of like a flower.
Pardon?
I think it's like a flower.
Okay. Yeah, it is something like a flower. Anything else that we can say about dandelions? Yeah.
A dandelion is a type of weed.
Okay, it's a type of weed. Yes. Anything else? There's two images there. I put two pictures because depending on the time of year that you see the dandelion, it looks a little bit different. Kosh.
Normally you can find dandelions outside of a school or in your garden.
Hey, yes, thank you.
It's a flower that you don't need to plant.
Okay. Thank you. Anson.
It's bad.
Bad. Now, is that what it actually is? Is that what you actually see here?
No.
No, so that needs to go on the other side. So what do we call that again? Connotative value. That's its implied meaning, that it's bad. So why do we think of it as bad? Zoe.
It ruins your lawn.
So it ruins your lawn. So is that an actual, which side do you think that would go on? Is that something that it actually does? Or is that an association that we make? Because what if I really like dandelions? And I'm at home and I'm like, oh, I love these beautiful yellow flowers that are on my lawn. And I'm going to put it on this side. I'm going to put it on the connotation side. And I gave you a little bit of a clue. You said wreck your grass? That's what you said? Wreck your lawn. Okay, so they wreck your lawn. I might think they're beautiful, but Zoe's association is that they wreck her lawn. William?
They're everywhere and they have a ton of seeds.
Okay, have lots of seeds. Anything else? Let's think about the associations that we make with dandelions or with some of these things. What they actually are is a yellow flower. We've said that. That they're also a weed. They're found in gardens and on grass. They don't need to be planted. They produce lots of seeds and they grow everywhere. And some of the things, the connotation, so the value that we attach them, that implicit meaning of a dandelion is that it's bad, that it wrecks your lawn. You need to remember when you do your own sheet, so Jojo has a color, for instance, okay? You need to remember that when you're doing your own, you want to describe what this actually is. So remembering to use your 5 senses. This is like your text evidence. This is what we actually see and can observe, okay? The other part is all of the ideas, feelings, associations that you have. Everybody is going to have 5 minutes to do this, okay? Really quick thinking activity, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to pass it around your group and see if other people have things to add. So I notice you have mineral here. Is that connotative? Is that something that's suggested by gold, or is that what it actually is?
Actually is.
So where does this belong then?
Here.
Right. Yeah. What now? Why do you say that valuable is?
Your thinking is valuable.
Just like we said before, like
Right.
thinking it's valuable unless you make it valuable.
Okay, so unless we attach a value to it? Yeah. All right, so the actual thing is not valuable. It's only valuable because we attach value to it. So I would agree with Amarnath, and I would leave that in connotation. But the other ones, the mineral is actually what it is, and it actually is a color, so that we can move to the denotative, so the explicit meaning.
So am I allowed to write white and yellow?
You can write whatever you want
Then it's
because this
gold
is
can
your
be
thinking.
white and it can be black.
Absolutely, so I would put that in there as well.
So we put it here or here. 'Cause
What do you think?
it actually is that kind of color.
You got it, so you got the right spot there.
I think our teacher's making us do this to like compare what's implied and what's actual meaning, because sometimes we would say, sometimes it means this, but it's not the actual meaning of that. So then we would put it as an implied, and then she would make us like do, and it's part of inferencing too. So that's what I think.
And we are
We have a target expectation, and every term we have a target for every month, I guess. And this is our target of inferencing, and I guess this is to help us infer. And she's giving us new vocabulary, and vocab is really important in this classroom. So we have word walls, we have big brain books, and things like that to associate with inferring.
I think our teacher is making us do this because if we learn about implied and stated, it'll help us infer more so we can get better inferences.
This would help me more in reading, because when you're reading, sometimes things aren't exactly stated and you have to imply. And I guess this is really a good activity to kind of help us with that specific area, I guess.
It is okay to talk to your neighbors. We're going to just look at a couple right now, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you time to continue talking to your neighbors. We are going to use one of them here that William's been working on, because I want to show you how this might add to what we were talking about earlier today, how our schema affects the way that we read things. Does anybody feel like right now that maybe they have an idea that's different from what they posted this morning?
I think this kind of let me more think deeper about what I thought about specifically happy faces. Because when I looked at it, I kind of thought, oh wow, I can't really do anything with this picture. But then once I got into it and asked my peers, it got more deeper and deeper, and I got to think more. And now that I know, I didn't know that I had so much schema about smiley faces. But then now that I guess I know, it's kind of easier to work with inferencing a little.
All right, thank you. Well, I was over here working with Janvi a little while ago, and she had snake, and that was a pretty hard one for her. Because she said to me, I don't have a lot of schema about snakes, so this one's kind of hard. But we started prodding, and we dug a little deeper, and she said, oh, I said, well, what do you think of snakes? And she said, we got down to, she thought of slithering, and she thought of Shiv, who is a god, and he has a cobra around his neck, right? And that was a really personal connection. How many people think of Shiv when they think of snakes? Because I wouldn't think of that. That's not part of my schema. That's not part of my understanding. Do you remember in the very beginning of the year, one of the first activities we did was filling our backpacks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my backpack is still up there. I know I put it away, but I put it back up. Yep, I put it back up. So let me just grab it for you. So my backpack is still up here. And this was my schema, right? This is my background knowledge, everything that I came with. So I want you to think about this word that you have, the actual meaning and what we associate it. And I want you to think about how are you filling your backpack when you're reading? What's already in there that helps you to understand what you're reading?